Why don't we take a moment and do a little like good news moment? All right. Like, I feel like we need some good positive vibrations. Like, people need to hear good news. Does anybody have any good news to share?
Yeah, I've got good news. I don't mean to like turn on myself, but I did get cleared medically last week. So
that
back
is
in
great
action.
news.
Yeah, no, that's been super nice. So I've been back at workouts for the last 2 weeks, running around, doing heavy sled, squatting, running. So I got wiped out last season pretty bad with a nasty ankle injury, but I'm back.
Yes,
so
sir.
that's been huge.
We love to hear it.
Yeah, put me in good spirits.
For sure. It was great to have him back. I guess just kind of piggybacking off that, kind of similar to that, is just God's good.
Yes, sir.
He always
Amen.
is. He's with you with your highest highs, lowest lows. And I mean, I'm sure, dealing with an ankle injury, you've experienced all that. And I think that rings true. But I feel like that always needs to be said. And even if, that might not be at the front of everybody's brain, it's something that needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I think even like ankle injury or not, God is always good. He's blessed me and like given me a perspective on life that I needed because I feel like I was ungrateful where I was at. But I think like you don't need something like that to tear you down. Like that opened my eye, but like when things are good, like thank God. When things are bad, thank God. Like it's always good. It could always be way worse.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, when I messed my wrist up, I didn't know if I'd be able to play with y'all, and it kind of like made me refocus and appreciate the blessing that it is to be able to go out there and just have fun, run around, and play with your teammates.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you can kind of, if you do something enough, you can look at it in the wrong light and look at it like a chore almost. But it kind of made me, I guess, refocus and see it for the blessing that it is, because I thought I might not be able to, and that really ate away at me. But being able to go out there with y'all and have fun and put dudes in the ground was it's a blessing.
For sure.
Yeah, that's what I've realized. Like the most important thing, it's not like, like obviously, yes, the most important thing is like you have to perform. Like this is a job. Like you want to go out there and do well, but like once it's taken away from you, like your mindset isn't like, oh, I want to go play good. It's like I just want to play with my friends again. Like I want to go like run around there, like put the pads on, like talk trash to the defense, talk trash to you all, like do all the same stuff. Like once you get pulled away from that, it's like, oh man, it's like it's a weird feeling.
That is one thing that I'm really glad Coach Swinney brings up a lot is like, obviously, in this sport, there are hard days. You have fall camp, you got 95-degree weather, you got to deal with a lot of stuff. But every once in a while, he'll just, during a team meet and just remind us like, yo, like there's somebody out there who can't walk on their own right now. There's someone who's on a ventilator who can't breathe that would do anything to be in the position that you guys are in, and just remind us of how much of a blessing it is to just be healthy and be able to do something we love like this and use our platform well.
That is the truth. I want to take that and spin into the blessing that it is that you guys get to have Coach Luke. You've now had a full spring with this guy. And I just love to hear from you guys, like what that experience has been like having him a part of this Clemson family, and specifically the Clemson football family, and what it's been like to get to know a new coach, to get used to sort of that change, a new personality, and how that impacts you individually as a player, but then collectively as an O-line group as well.
Infectious energy.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about Coach Luke, man. He's like, I mean, first of all, before I say anything, his resume speaks for himself. He's developed a first-round pick, I believe, at every school that he's at so far. And, I mean, he knows exactly what it takes, and he holds us to that standard every day. And it's to a point where, like, I mean, he'll be, he'll have 2 cups of coffee before he goes out to practice. He's jacked up. And if you don't meet that energy, like, that's on you. And, like, that's how I feel about him is, like, if this guy is going to put this much effort into making sure we know that he cares, how can I not do the same for him?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think the best way to describe it is like I've been more on the coaching side of things with him. I got to do a couple practices with him in spring ball, just do some like position work, individual stuff, like team separate. But the man's crazy, but in the best way possible. And like I respect that because like that's what like if he comes out there and he brings the juice every single day, like he's never flat, never dull. And the way that he takes the field, like that gets me like amped up, and I'm already amped up to go out there. Then I see him like fly by me, like running faster, like screaming something. I don't even know what he's talking about, but like I get amped up and I'm ready to go too.
Yeah, I agree with all of y'all. I think the juice he brings is really infectious. Like even on those days where you might not feel it as much as you do, like on your good days, like he comes out there and you see him running around and it makes you happy. Like it makes you have energy. No matter how you're feeling, like he's going to go out there and he's going to be the same person every day and he's going to bring it, and that makes you want to bring it even more. So I really appreciate that from him, and I think that's really good.
Now, Walker, you talk about the juice, and there's a social media post that that you put out there that was about blocking Shipley and not holding back and all. Sorry, I'm
No, it's
looking
okay.
all around.
It's all good.
And it talks about missing being on the field and all this stuff, as you talked about, injuries and everything. But you caption the video, "I miss hitting people."
Yeah.
How well does that one post describe your game and now being cleared and being excited about being back? Like, how does that describe it all?
Yeah, no, I think that sums me up pretty well because, like, as Coach Sweeney likes to joke around, I mean, he calls me the meathead, which, I mean, it does ring pretty true. Like, people ask me my hobbies all the time, like, what do you like to do? Literally, I love working out. Like, I love lifting. I love, like, training, running, all of it. I love playing football. And at the end of the day, I just love hitting people. Like, that feeling is unmatched. Like, you can say what you want. I was having this conversation with Coach Luke the other day. And it's like when people start playing football, like, not many kids grow up and they're like, okay, like, I'm going to play football. Like, I want to play offensive line because I want to go reach a 3-tech. Like, it just doesn't – people – that's not the reason. Like, when you start playing the game and, like, you feel the physicality of it, like, it's just so much fun. It hurts, like, trust me, like, it's a terrible feeling when you're on the receiving end of it, but, like, when you go hit somebody, I mean, it's one of the best feelings in the world, and especially, like, we had a couple setups over the past couple seasons, like, Blake's locked up with somebody on, like, a slide protection pass and I get to run and just, like, decleat the dude that he's blocking because he's not even paying attention. It's like, not many things feel better than that, especially in the game of football.
And, Blake, you're a little bit of a far away from Ohio. Not like crazy, but a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Talk about the draw to come from the Midwest to the South and come to Clemson. Neither of you really are close here, right? You're from Kentucky. And so, that's not right up the street. Talk a little bit about that decision to leave home when there are other great universities around and choose to come to a place like Clemson.
Yeah. For me, like, when I was a recruit, distance was never a big deal to me in terms of I would go to California, wherever. It never mattered to me distance-wise. It mattered what place was a good fit. And every time I came here, I'm pretty sure this was one of the first visits I went on was here. And I remember, like, all the other places I went to, they were great, but there was just something, I guess, like, indescribable about this place, like just this energy and just this greatness that I felt here, and I felt drawn to come here. And as my high school career went on, I figured out that this was a place that I could go and I felt like I could excel at. And just the kind of people that were here as well, it was just different. Like, everyone cared. Everyone was really dialed in about being their best and making you your best. And that, to me, it drew me here. So, but it didn't matter where it was. Any place with this energy is special.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was definitely a tough decision because my dad played at UK in the 90s. He played offensive line and actually lined up perfectly. He played right guard. He was number 64, and the dude who was a senior at the time when I was, like, going to be a freshman in college was graduating, so it was opening up. So everyone was like, oh, come live your dad's legacy, like, fill his shoes and do everything. And which don't even – like, I'm still a Kentucky fan to this day. I love Kentucky. Like, some of my best friends of my entire life play there right now. Still hang out with them when I go home. But it's like when I was growing up, I would watch the Clemson football games with my friends because his dad played soccer here back in the 90s. And, like, I would watch them run down the hill and they'd release the balloons. I was like, man, that place looks incredible. And so I did I can't remember what it's called, some football camp in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And my dad was like, do you want to go look at campus? And I was like, yeah. So we came over, like, drove around. And this was, like, freshman year in high school. I didn't have any offers yet. And the stadium was unlocked. So we came through the gate. We were walking around the stadium. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I definitely want to play here. And I was like, all right, that's a good goal. He was like, we got some work to do. Maybe work on getting some interest first from anybody. So,
from anybody.
Went back home, started getting some offers. Fortunately, early on in my career, I started getting, like, the local schools like Eastern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, Kentucky, Louisville, schools around that area. And, like, I don't mean this with any disrespect because I met some great coaches and some great people along the way, like, through all the schools I went to. But, like, almost in a way, like, what I wanted to do was kind of build my resume to bring it to Clemson, like, come to the camp that summer and, like, show them, like, hey, I've got interest from other schools, like, I can do this. So I built up a couple of offers, came here in the summer, worked through, and I got the offer in the summer. And I remember, like, completing the camp because my whole goal was, like, get my name in the door, like, talk to Sweeney a little bit, and, like, come back next year for the camp and then next year if I had to. And so they offered me. I wanted to commit on the spot. My dad was like, all right, like, chill out. You're still young. Like, give it some time. And then came back, committed that next fall. It was, I don't know, it was kind of just a gut feeling, like, watching them and then, like, coming here and experiencing it. I don't know what it was. I believe it was God personally. But I feel like God was, like, calling me here for a reason. Like, I felt that so strongly. I was like, I can't walk away from that because, I mean, and again, no disrespect at all, but because I know, like, the opportunity might not always be open, but I was like, if I don't leave home and, like, go experience what Clemson is, I'll think about it forever. But if I go and it's not what I think it is, like, maybe I could try to come back or go somewhere else. But I was dead set on coming here. And it's been more than everything I thought it was going to be. So, I mean, I definitely made the right choice and ended up in the right spot, but I don't regret it at all.
But Colin, you're from an hour away, much like myself. You're a Spartanburg County kid, and it's got to be cool to see other South Carolina grown athletes, like Josh Saps and Tyler Brown, who are local guys as well, choose to come to a place like this. And so someone who didn't come from several states over from right here, homegrown, what was it that said, no, I'm going to stay home. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to choose to go to Clemson?
Honestly, I mean, like these guys said, I mean, it's just something in the air here. It's not really something that you can put your finger on or really describe. Things are just really different here. And, I mean, you touched upon, a bunch of South Carolina guys coming here as well. I mean, that's super special, being able to, come here and play college football with your high school friends. But for me, the most fulfilling part is especially all three of us going to the same school, seeing what that did for other younger people behind us. Because, I mean, I feel like when you're young, especially in high school, having dreams of playing college football, there seems to just be this glass ceiling when it comes to it. You have to get to your first offer, things build like that, and I feel like it can be really discouraging for some people. But for me, and I feel like a bunch of guys, Josh and Tyler included, feel the same way, that by us doing that, it gives people the opportunity to be like, hey, all three of these guys did it within a year. Why can't I do that?
Yeah.
And I honestly think it just inspires other people, and I'm really grateful for that.
That's awesome. I want to switch gears and talk about game day swag. All right. Because I've sat down with the DBs, and that's obviously a unique group, and they're going to be swaggy it out, right? I want to know, but this group and this crew right here, especially you, Blake, the eye black, you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming, and it's a thing, and it's intense, and it's unique.
Blake Miller.
Go ahead and give us the background story, because the bat signal is up in the air when it's game day. We see it.
Yeah, I don't even remember when I first started doing it, but I think it might have been NC State maybe my freshman year, and I don't know, I guess, what compelled me to do it. I think I saw someone else put it on, and I was like, man, that's pretty cool. I don't think I wore it in high school, but I just, threw it on, and it kind of, became a thing, and I felt like I played pretty decent that game. I still remember I had there was a clip of it that came up, and I was like, man, maybe it's, little superstition kicking in. And I think that game, did you throw it on too?
No, I do the nose and just down the cheeks. It's me every time.
But you threw the eye black on for that game
I did,
too.
I did.
Yeah. So, kind of did that and just kind of rolled with it ever since. And, it's just been I guess might have kind of been my thing. So I'm going to keep rolling with it.
So you like to keep it simple. You like to keep it little 2 lines, little across that's it. That's as crazy as we're getting.
Well, here, I'll walk you through the essentials from the feet up.
Absolutely.
So for offensive linemen, obviously one necessity, mid to high top cleats, not for looks purposes. We're big boys, we need ankle support.
Come on now.
Period. The next thing is the elbow sleeves. For me personally, I feel like that's just kind of like a requirement.